get to know all of them so you're having a good time, and build your network outside of your job because those people will refer you too.
Hey there, and welcome to a brand new episode of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hassman, and joining me today is a brand new rock star. She's a fractional chief marketing officer. She is a co-host of the Aspiring Solopreneur podcast, and she's co-author of the upcoming book, Solopreneur Business for Dummies. Carly Reese, thanks so much for joining me.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm super excited to dig in today. So let's jump in. We all want to do effective marketing. I mean, it's called delivering marketing joy, right? But with solopreneurs, small businesses, that's just crucial. So what type of marketing should solopreneurs consider first? And maybe what should they be avoiding?
You know, it's so funny when people go out on their own, they're like, I need to learn how to do marketing. So they go read the biggest books out there. They try to take these courses, but those marketing courses and books often apply to larger companies and people that have employees and everything. And as a solopreneur, you don't need to focus on these massive marketing campaigns. You don't have to do emails that blast out to thousands of people. A lot of times, solopreneurs just need 3, 4, 5 clients to make a living. And so, what I always say is for solopreneurs, really focus on that one on one communication. Take your audience, somebody from your audience to coffee, get to know them. I sometimes just like if they want to figure out messaging, I recommend doing a little bit of PPC spend, pay per click spend, just to see what resonates with their audience and to see not necessarily to sell anything, but just to say, oh, the way I phrase this resonates more, the way I phrase this resonates more. And then that way you can really hone in on your messaging and be more efficient with where you market elsewhere. So the big campaigns, PPC, and then in terms of that one-on-one interaction, people think if they post on social media that they can put a post out there and people will read it and they're going to get clients that way. And that just isn't the case anymore. Social media has turned into a pay to play scene, except for when you actually engage with people on the platforms that your audience hangs out in. So
Yes.
if you join communities, if you actually comment on people's posts and put a genuine comment, not just
Nice.
cool or like this, like that doesn't provide any value. But if you get on their radar and start building these connections, I'm big on LinkedIn. That's where I kind of focus my time. That's where our audience is. And if you go in and follow people that are within your audience and people that you want to attract and actually get on their radar, that is so much easier than trying to work on these huge marketing campaigns that honestly don't really do a lot for these one person businesses.
Yeah, I think this is really good advice, Carly. So two things come to my mind is the other way that like the messaging you talked about doing the PPC for messaging, the one-on-one campaigns or just the one-on-one conversations, you'll see in people's eyes when something you said resonated, right? Or didn't. So that's another way to kind of without spending money, you can get it. But I'm telling you right now that I think that's the LinkedIn piece. I have actually, it's funny, you and I are on similar tracks here because I've really refocused a lot of my effort on commenting, engaging with in a thoughtful way. And man, it is amazing the impact that has because you're playing within the algorithm and you're providing value. And I think when you do those two things, you win, you know?
And it's so amazing to me that people think they can just post now and get away with it. Unfortunately, it's just not the case. But there are people that I connect with on LinkedIn that I feel like I know. I have never met them in my life. It's just that we engage with each other's comments. We respond with actual thoughtful comments on there. And you build these relationships. And so now that I know these people that I've engaged with, they'll be more likely to recommend me. I'll be more likely to recommend them. And that just seems so much more valuable for a solopreneur than just posting, throwing spaghetti at the wall.
Yeah, one of my favorite comments I heard about social media done right is that social media will never replace a handshake, but it'll turn a handshake into a hug.
Like that. That's a yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good one.
So being a small business owner, being a solopreneur, entrepreneur, it's not always talked about, but it can be lonely. So what are some strategies that you have to stay connected?
Yeah, so when I went out on my own, that was my biggest concern. I'm an extrovert. I loved in the office, I loved going to the kitchen and interacting with people and stopping by coworkers' desks and chatting. And I was like, when I leave, this is going to be something I have to put a lot of time and effort into. And what I found is a lot of people feel like they need to engage on these social platforms, connect with their audience, and use that as a way to stay connected. But what I have found extremely valuable is to do fun things outside of work. Join a hiking club. We were talking about hiking offline, a running club. Just find something that you love doing that's a hobby, and then find other like minded people and get to know all of them so you're having a good time and build your network outside of your job because those people will refer you too. If I
Yeah.
am running with a group of friends, let's pretend I'm a runner. If I'm running with a group of friends and they're like, somebody I know needs a marketer, I know somebody in my running club that does marketing, they'll be more likely to refer me. So staying in contact with people and combating isolation doesn't have to be work related. And
Yeah.
I actually don't recommend it. You need to expand your horizons. It's like when you read a fiction novel and then you get a business idea from reading something related to fiction. It expands your mind, it expands your network, and you enjoy doing it. So it can make those isolating times less isolating because you have something to look forward to outside of the office, but you're also networking.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Great advice. So what's some mistakes that you see businesses making with their marketing, and maybe what advice, like how can they fix them?
I can do everything for everybody.
Mhm.
And I know we always say riches are in the niches and people hear that, but it doesn't resonate. And I think they just want to be able to attract any clients. And I really found the power in saying no and figuring out who you want to target, who you want to reach, who you want to work with. This should be a business that you enjoy not only running successfully, but one that you enjoy running and that you actually have a good time with. So finding the value in saying no because they don't fit your niche, however you want to say it,
Sure, sure.
is so important. And if people, we always say, let's say there's a photographer in your city and you say, I'm a photographer. Well, there are gazillions of photographer. And these days, everybody thinks they're a photographer with their
Right.
iPhone. But if you're like specialize in pet portraits in Denver, Colorado, and in this area of Denver, then people will say, okay, well, I need a picture of my dog. I'm not just going to go with a photographer. I'm going to go with the portrait photographer. And it is just so important to find that edge. And I think the other thing is you're not odds are you're not gonna be the first one doing your business.
Yeah.
It's rare that we have a groundbreaking idea, and so you may be like, "I don't know how to specialize, what makes me unique." You yourself can be the unique person. The experience you provide can be the unique thing. You can be a really bubbly human being that people just like to hang out with, and that might be your unique value proposition. So I think people really need to own their strengths. And I think niching down is just the key to not only marketing success, but business success and really focusing those products.
Yeah, I think that's great, and it's something I've struggled with, to be honest with you, Carly, because I did want to. I want to say yes to everybody, but it's amazing how much you can. We talked about messaging there. Like all of a sudden, your messaging gets so much more effective because you're only talking to the people that you want to talk to. You don't have to have generalized messaging either. So I think that's great advice. Okay, so you've been in marketing for 20 years and coaching for many, many years as well. So what are some of the top like lessons that you can share?
So for people that are, this goes for everybody, but especially for solopreneurs, the name of the game these days is outsourcing and automating. People get so bogged down with the tedious tasks. And if you're not good at something, you can outsource it. Honestly, I was talking about pay per click earlier. I'm a marketer. I am not good at PPC. I've tried, it's not my cup of tea. And so I outsource that side of the business. I know I'm not good at. So identify what that is. It doesn't have to break the bank. I hear time and time again people are like, "Well, that's great that you can afford a PPC person, but think how much time that would save you focusing on the things you want to focus on so that you can grow your business." You have to look at it as an investment and automating. I was talking to some people, some solopreneurs last week, and they're like, well, I'll send out this email from here, this email from here. And they were talking about sending it from their Gmail. And I was like, no, 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 no. You have to have an email automation platform. And in today's AI world, you have to figure out where you can trim the fat basically in your business so that you can free up time to focus on things that only you can focus on and then outsource or automate the rest because you just don't have there's just no time. I mean,
Yeah.
while you're running a business, whether you're working in it or working on it, your time is limited. So figure out where you can save it.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that's super smart, and I think it's scarcity mindset versus abundance mindset sometimes, right? Like, I can't afford to do this, and it's like if you are in that zone of genius, that place that only you can do, you're going to make more money. Ironically, like I had a conversation today with an accountant because that's not my area of genius. And the idea that solopreneurs like work with other solopreneurs who do live
Yes.
in that space, right? Like it just sort of makes sense, but
Yes.
sometimes we don't want to let go.
No, that's the biggest thing is it's your baby. And I totally understand that it's your baby, but there are things you can for sure. Or if accounting isn't your thing, taxes aren't your thing, find a CPA and at least get rid of that stuff that can be a headache. Those that's a big recommendation I have. But also in terms of automation, I just want to make one thing clear for where I stand. AI is wonderful. You should be hopping on board. It's great. It's great for idea generation. I do not recommend people use AI to write their content, to write their emails. I think the way that people are really standing out these days is by owning their voice and owning their personality. Use AI as a brainstorming tool, use it to come up with titles and everything, but make sure it sounds like you because so many people are just blasting out things that AI is generating and it just looks generic. And so the more you can own your own personality, your brand is what's going to get you those clients and you are your brand if you're a solopreneur.
Man, this is great stuff, Carly. This went super fast. So, if somebody wants to learn more information, we talked about your upcoming book. It's going to be coming out in Q3 of 2025. Is that right?
Yes, we're hoping for late August, early September.
That's exciting. So, where can folks learn more information about you, get more from you?
Yeah, so I'm a fractional CMO for Lifestar. That's lifestarwith2hours.com. And you can find some great resources, a great community at lifestarwith2hours.com/intro. We have this whole suite of free offers for you to check out there. And then, of course, go to the Aspiring Solopreneur on your favorite podcast platform and on YouTube. And you can listen to my co host, Joe Rando, and I talk about all things solopreneur.
Awesome. Carly, this has been really fun. We'll have to do it again sometime, okay?
Yes, definitely.
Okay,
Thanks,
cool.
Kirby.
You bet. Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time.